Anti-sway bars are a really popular suspension modification that a lot of people get to make their cars handle better. But there isn't a whole lot of information out there on how they work and how you can use them to make your car handle better. So let's get right into it. First, I'd like to thank our partners, Whiteline Suspension, for giving us some of this stuff as visual aids. We really like Whiteline. They have probably one of the largest range of applications for sway bars of any company that we can think of. That's why so many of our project cars use them. Whiteline is top quality, and they probably have an application for your car. So of course, as the name implies, one of the main jobs of an anti-sway bar or anti-roll bar is to control the sway of the car. Now, they control body roll. That's kind of their main purpose. When you get a set of performance aftermarket bars, they're always like bigger and thicker than the stock bar in almost every case. This is a Whiteline bar on a Subaru STI. As you can see, it is mounted to the frame in 2 locations, and it's also mounted to the suspension in 2 locations. Now what happens in the turn, the car wants to roll into the turn. Now excessive body roll is bad, like it slows your response, makes the car feel mushy, makes the car lift the contact patch of the tires so you lose grip. None of this stuff is good for performance. Because of this, sway bars are one of the biggest bang for the buck thing you can do to improve your cornering performance. So you might want to wonder how they work. Well, as you can see, the sway bar being attached to both sides of the suspension and the frame, it acts like a torsion bar. And the torsion bar has to kind of twist while the car is turning to resist the roll. So like let's say you're turning to the left. Now centrifugal force wants to compress the suspension on the right side. The suspension goes down as the car rolls into the turn. It pushes this side of the sway bar up. So that force gets transferred through the bar to this side, which also pushes up. So the suspension on the unload side of the car also resists the body roll. You have bigger sway bars in the front and the rear. You can cut that body roll down by half or more. So what that gives you is flatter cornering, a better tire contact patch, and quicker response. Your weight transfer, it gets quicker. The car feels more responsive to steering input, and the overall dynamic weight transfer is less because there's less body motion. Some people on the YouTube claim that your base weight transfer from side to side is reduced too, but if you do the math, it's very little. You're moving the CG of your car like fractions of an inch, so the weight transfer, static weight transfer due to the reduction in body roll is actually very little. But your dynamic weight transfer, what happens when the car takes a set and the whole mass of the car is moving, does get less. But your weight transfer is also quicker, which gives you the crisper steering feel. And I think a lot of people don't really explain how this works too well, but that's one aspect, and how the sway bar improves your handling by reducing roll. Now, if you do the math and you look at the overall contribution to roll resistance that the sway bar adds, on most cars, the sway bar does the lion's share of resistance to body roll, especially when you modify them. Like up to 2/3 of the resistance to body roll is in the sway bar, not in the springs. So the sway bar really does make a big difference. Going to bigger, thicker, stiffer sway bars is a good bang for the buck. And best of all, in most cases, it's really easy to install. Another thing that's not talked about on YouTube very much is how the sway bar affects your overall handling and your balance, and how it can be used as a tuning tool to affect how your car handles. Now, most cars from the factory come set to understeer. Understeer is generally considered to be safe. What that means is if you go around a corner real fast, your front wheels start sliding first, and the car will just push to the outside of the turn, and you lose cornering speed, and it's very annoying. Because the front wheel slides and the car doesn't do anything close to spinning out, understeer is considered to be the safest mode of cornering for your unskilled driver, but it's also the slowest mode. It doesn't utilize all four tires very well, and for like a sporting driver, it's really annoying, and for racing, it's untenable. When you get a set of performance sway bars, they're designed to dial a lot of the understeer out. So how sway bars work to control the handling of your car and to set the oversteer-understeer balance is through weight transfer and slip angle. Slip angle is not talked about very much on YouTube, and what it is, it's the difference between the direction the tire is pointing and the tread is going. Maybe you can imagine this. So like, let's say you're in a car and you hock it into a turn real hard and it wants to understeer. You have the steering wheel turned this much, your front tires are turned this much, but the tire contact patch is getting distorted and it's going like that. Like the tire is flexing due to the load placed on it, and the tread is actually pointing straighter than your angle. And you sense this as understeer and mushy response. So you turn in, weight gets transferred to your outside front tire, the front tire starts running a big slip angle, and it mushes out and gives you understeer. So by sway bars coupling the left and right tires together, what you're actually getting is more resistance to roll, or a higher spring rate on the loaded outside tires in the turn only while you're cornering. That's because the sway bar wants to go up, and it's compressing the spring and your coilover or your suspension. And on this side, the unloaded side of the car, it's also using the suspension on that side to resist the roll. So you're getting more stiffness in the corner. More stiffness means more weight transfer is going to that outside wheel, and the more weight transfer, the more weight and the more slip angle it runs. So like, let's say you have a understeering car and you want to use your rear tires more effectively. What you could do is get a bigger rear anti-sway bar and cause more weight transfer and more slip angle to run into the outside rear wheel. And by tuning your sway bar diameters or your sway bar stiffness, you can get a better balance of front to rear slip angles and utilize all of your tires more equally in the corner. When your tires are being used equally, you have more available grip and more cornering speed and a more rewarding driving experience. When you have it set right, your car rotates. You go into a corner and you reduce your throttle or decelerate, and maybe the car will slowly start to rotate and turn into the corner. If you go too far, the car will over-rotate and want to oversteer and spin. But the idea is to get it so the car will tighten the line and turn in, and you use all of your tires equally in the corner. Now you can do this by adjusting your sway bar diameters. So a bigger bar gives you more weight transfer to your outside, smaller bar gives you less. In the case of a stock car, like the Subaru, it's pretty front heavy, so it has a pretty big rear bar. When we upgrade the bar, the rear bar is the same size as the front bar, so we have more weight transfer in the back than stock, and we have a lot less understeer. So we're utilizing all of our tires more equally. Now what's really cool about sway bars and Whiteline ones in particular is you can easily make the bar adjustable. Now what's great about Whiteline is they have a lot of adjustment holes. Like typically a bar might only have 3 or 2. Whiteline generally has 3 or 4. Now these holes allow you to adjust your sway bar stiffness. So the closer to the chassis side of the car, the less the lever arm is, and the more the effective stiffness of the bar is. So if you put your end link in this back hole, your bar is effectively softer. You move it up here and it gets stiffer. Now this is a great advantage. Anyone can do these adjustments with some simple hand tools. If you go to the track and doing track days and you want to tune your suspension, you can change your oversteer and understeer balance by putting it in different holes. Like let's say your car is understeering. You can soften the front bar by moving the end link into some of these back holes, and you can stiffen your rear by moving the end link closer to the inboard side. Anyone can do this at the track. Now, a lot of serious racers that have pit crews and stuff, they might change springs and do a bunch of stuff, but most of you're doing the track day, you're your own pit crew. You're doing it by yourself. So you might have a jack and some hand tools, but you're not going to spend the whole day changing your springs. But with adjustable sway bars, it's just a few minutes of moving your links around and you can change your balance. So if you're an autocrosser or a track day guy or a grassroots racer, having an adjustable sway bar is a great thing. So stiffer, more slip angle, softer, less slip angle. By understanding this, you can tune your car's balance, dynamics, and how you use the tires. You can also use it to suit your driver's style. Like, if the car is oversteering, you could soften your rear bar. You can even stiffen your front. As a rule of thumb, if you're lacking traction in one end of the car, it's best to try to add traction to that end before you take traction away from the other end to balance it. So let's say your car is oversteering. First thing you do is soften the bar. Keep softening it by going on the adjustments. When you're full stop, if the car is still oversteering and you've softened the bar all the way, then you can go to the other end of the car and stiffen the front bar. But generally, you want to reduce weight transfer on the side that needs more grip and do that first till you're maxed out. But it gives you a lot of flexibility. It's easy to do, and you don't need a whole pit crew to do it. Same thing if you're messing around at home. This is really easy to do at home. You just need a floor jack and some tools, and you're a suspension tuner. We feel that this is one of the best things, because seriously, how many of you guys are going to change spring rates all the time, especially when you're at the track and time is limited? I think you would rather spend your time driving than messing with the car. So, sway bars limit roll. They increase weight transfer to the outside. They let you use all four tires better. They reduce dynamic weight transfer. They quicken response. They overall crispen the car up and make it more responsive. Sway bars are also relatively inexpensive as far as mods go. They're relatively easy to install and they're not permanent. It's easy to put the car back to stock with them. It's one of the reasons why we think that they're one of the first things you should do when you start modding your suspension, and they give you the big bang for the buck. So now let's go over some specifics about why we like Whiteline. Now here's your typical Whiteline bar. The first thing you notice is that the ends where the end links bolt on are forged one piece. So you notice that this isn't a piece that's welded onto the bar. It's all one piece and it's forged like that. So it gives you more strength. There's good homogeneous grain flow around here. It makes for a tougher bar. A lot of other bars are just bent and this part's welded on. Then you have a heat affected zone and a weak spot on the bar, but Whiteline is one piece. Also, the bar is precision CNC bent. You can tell by putting it on the table how everything is flat and indexed. Like a lot of bars will rock like this because their bending's not precise. When you put a bar like this on your car, you put twist preload on the suspension and it could throw your corner weights off like 50 pounds. And that's a feelable difference. So precise bends, forged ends. They also have like good hardware. Like a lot of sway bar companies use urethane, but Whiteline's urethane, I really like it because it's resilient, so it doesn't take a compression set. Other companies, their urethane with compression, it kind of gets dinged in and wallered down and starts to develop play. But Whiteline's urethane is resilient and it doesn't take a set like that as much as other urethane. It's nice and hard, a lot harder than rubber, so the bar is more directly coupled to your suspension. And it's also kind of slippery. A lot of the other urethanes are rubbery, and what this does is it creates like a gripping force called stiction on the bar, which adds uncontrolled force that's unpredictable. So these are low stiction. They also have a textured interior. This reduces friction on the bar even more, and when you grease them up, it retains the grease. So they're less likely to stick. Now, this is for an AE86, so it's an older Whiteline application. The newer Whiteline applications, the bushings are even more advanced. Like a lot of them have like a molded in Teflon liner, and they actually have like a lip seal molded into the outside here to help retain the grease in the bushing better. So this is like an old legacy design, but it's still really good. The newer applications are super sweet. Whiteline comes with all the hardware. It's all top grade stuff. It's 8.8 or better metric rated. It's all nylock. It's not going to come loose. They have sturdy mounts. And they also have like urethane bushed end links. The urethane bushes are stiffer and they transfer the force better. And optionally, you can also use these sealed ball joint ones. Now these are direct metal bushings or bearings, so they have no play in them at all, but they're rubber sealed against the weather, so they'll never develop squeaks or rattles, and they'll probably last longer than your car. The other thing I like about these optional end links is that they're adjustable for height. So when the bar is on the car, you can bolt one side up and then put the car on all four wheels, and then you can match the length exactly on the other side and take all preload out. Also conversely, like if you're racing or a really serious track guy with coilovers and you corner weight your car, your ride height on all your corners may not be exactly equal in that case, so you can adjust your end links to take all the preload out of the bar in a corner weighted car. The Whitelines also come like with a nice durable powder coated finish for corrosion resistance. Now you look at the ones in that Subaru, they're probably like 12 years old or something, and they still look brand new. So the finish is good for corrosion resistance and everything. One thing with a lot of aftermarket sway bars, a lot of companies, their bars aren't well engineered and they don't consider the additional forces that the bigger bars place on the chassis. You look at Whiteline, they've come up with a lot beefier mounts for the bars. So you have this big billet piece, thicker and like stronger, directly coupled. This was because it was found that the stock Subaru mounts just tear out of the chassis. Now, a lot of other sway bar companies too, I don't know, if you've messed with cars as long as we have, you get a bar and it doesn't even come close to fitting, and you have to fabricate spacers and things, and it's a big pain in the ass, but we've never had a Whiteline bar like that. Whiteline bars, they bolt right on. You don't have to fabricate or make anything or add washers or anything. So they're very well thought out. As I said before, Whiteline has a really, really broad application range, and almost no matter what kind of car, if it's some kind of performance sports car or sedan, they probably make a bar for you. Like there's other good bars out there, but they're usually limited in applications to only popular performance cars, or if it's a tuner of, like, let's say Corvettes, they make good bars for the Corvette, but that's it. But Whiteline probably has a bar for you. So bang for the buck, quality, versatility. the ease of adjustment at the track, we really think these are the way to go. So I hope this answers a lot of your questions on sway bars and lets you know how they work, gives you an understanding of how you can tune the car's dynamics with it. And when you go to the track, don't be afraid to experiment. By experimenting, that's how you gain experience and you get a feel for what adjustments do and stuff. Like if you set your car to be more aggressive on the oversteer side, be a little careful till you get used to how the car reacts in the corner. It's not going to hurtle out of control, but the tail might come around a little quicker. Finally, when you're buying sway bars, it's best not to mix and match unless you're an advanced suspension tuner and you know how to do math and you can calculate the weight transfer percentage and your roll couples and all that yourself. If you're an informed enthusiast, it's best to get a matched set of front and rear sway bars from the same manufacturer that has engineered the diameters. That way you're not likely to get anything really ridiculous that'll make your car, for instance, oversteer really bad. Now there's a lot of cars, like guys that race front-wheel drive cars. They set their cars to oversteer as soon as you breathe the throttle. That way you don't overload the front. Now, for most of you beginner drivers or people that drive in the street, there's no way you want to set your car up like that. So that's one thing to be cautioned. And if you're a beginning suspension tuner, get a match set from a reputable manufacturer that's been engineered. I think that covers about it. So, if you like this content, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, go to MotoIQ.com. I think I have a whole series of technical articles about how bars work. Like go to our web store, check out our merch, check out our parts we got, and hopefully I'll see you next time, and I hope you enjoyed this.